at most 10 years old, and most of its parts are just a few months old. This is not some metaphor. It's a biological fact that changes everything. The skin in the mirror, it's 28 days old. The blood in your veins, only 4 months old. The lining of your stomach renews every 5 days. Even your bones are no older than 7 years. On the atomic level, on the level of each atom, you are a completely different person than you were a year ago. 98% of your atoms have already been replaced, and they've done this many times. But here's the paradox that gives scientists cognitive dissonance. If the body is constantly renewed, why does it still age? Why at 40 do we not look like we did at 20 if our cells are only a couple years old? And the answer flips everything upside down. Our body is not exactly an organism, it is a program. And after 25 to 30 years, this program activates the code of self-destruction. It sounds crazy, but here's the proof. Imagine your body is like a 3D printer that prints itself. Every day, new cells appear instead of the old ones. But this printer doesn't run by itself. It follows a program. For example, the Hydra, a tiny 1 centimeter creature, lives forever. Why? It has no program of aging. A jellyfish goes even further. It reaches maturity and then activates a rejuvenation program, rolling its age back, becoming young again, endlessly. But we are not jellyfish, you say? True. Yet in 2020 at Harvard, scientists took old blind mice and managed to hack their biological program by inserting a few genes. As a result, their aging program reversed. Their eyes didn't just see again, they became younger at the cellular level. Understand? They didn't just fix their eyes, they started the process of cellular rejuvenation. And the most shocking part, what triggers the aging program in humans is not time, not wear and tear, but just 3 lines of code that you yourself write and run in your body every day. The code of stress, the code of inflammation, the code of your beliefs. How it works we'll explore deeply later, but here's what matters now. These lines of code are not mandatory. They are not hardwired into you. They're like viruses that we download from the world and society around us, and then we suffer from them. For example, one tribe in the Amazon proves this. Their 80-year-olds have arteries of 50-year-olds, no dementia, no chronic disease. Why? Because their biological program doesn't contain the viruses of modern civilization. So the strange conclusion is, aging is not a hardware problem of our body, it's a software problem. The body itself does not age, it's the aging program that is launched and accelerated. And right now, your body's waiting for a command from you: continue the aging and destruction program, or launch the renewal program. In the next 15 minutes, I'll show you how to find and remove these viruses of aging, how to rewrite this basic code, and how to start its renewal on the cellular level. Sounds fantastic, but our well-being is deteriorating. Yet there is an optimistic message: we can change our mind, and by changing the mind, we change the brain. And this truly leads to dramatic transformations. Well-being is a skill. It can be trained. It's no different from learning to play the violin or mastering a difficult sport. Take our brain, for example. In 2005, neuroscientist Sarah Lazar looked at a brain scan and couldn't believe her eyes. She studied the brain of a normal 50-year-old, which should be shrinking like a raisin in the sun. The prefrontal cortex thins, neurons die in clusters, connections break. This is the norm described in textbooks. It's supposed to be inevitable. But then she saw the brain of a 50-year-old who had been meditating for 20 years. His prefrontal cortex, the command center of all decisions, looked like that of a 25-year-old. His insula, the zone of empathy and self-awareness, looked like that of a teenager. His hippocampus, the memory center, was denser than in people 20 years younger. And that was just the beginning. Her team studied 37 Tibetan monks aged 60 to 80 and discovered something that shattered all ideas of aging. Their brains were not just younger, they were different. Zones that in ordinary people stay dormant all their lives were active in them, as if they had access to hidden functions of the brain. The brain of an 80-year-old monk with more than 60,000 hours of meditation behind him looked like that of a 50-year-old professor at the peak of his career. And all this without pills, surgeries, or million-dollar treatments. He just sat and breathed. Imagine the shock in the scientific community. All of gerontology, the science of aging, all its dogmas were overturned. Western psychology speaks of 5 types of consciousness tied to the senses. But in meditation, we must activate the 6th consciousness. We believed for 200 years that aging of the body and brain was irreversible. It turns out it is a choice. And here's the most important part. These were not genetic mutants or lab experiments. These were ordinary people who simply chose to live differently. So what did they do that rolled back their brain by decades? The answer will surprise you. It's tied to how you live every day of your life. In another study, people who had never meditated were split into two groups. One went through an 8-week meditation program. The other just had brain scans with an 8-week interval. The results showed real changes occur in the brain in just 8 weeks. And now I'll tell you something that will really unsettle you. After 40 years, a great restructuring begins in the brain. But for 99% of people, this gift turns into a curse. It's not about age. Let's face it, by 35 to 40, most people no longer live. They function. They wake up, go to work, home, sleep, work, weekends, repeat. Their soul screams, enough! But they drown it out with alcohol, TV shows, endless scrolling, and the chilling statistics, 73% of people after 35 live in constant chronic anxiety. 84% admit they have lost their sense of purpose. 91% wake up with the thought, not this day again. And do you know what your body does? It obeys. You send it the signal, I don't want to live like this. And every cell begins to die. By 40, a critical mass of unspoken aggression, suppressed resentment, fear of loss, need for stability, constant stress accumulates. And the body reacts. If your back hurts, it's the burden of others' expectations. If your head pounds, it's the conflict between must and want. If your heart aches, it's an unlived life. Emotions are tearing out, but you no longer feel them. Once, during an experiment, electrodes were attached to someone's head while 200 monks sat around quietly on cushions. Suddenly, they burst into laughter, hysterical laughter. Why? Because while we were talking about compassion, we placed the electrodes on the head, not on the heart. Medicine says it's age-related, but that's not true. It's a result of lifestyle. A real example, a man with a job, family, house, develops multiple sclerosis. His immune system literally attacks his nervous system. Doctors suggest shutting down his immunity with chemicals, but it turned out the cause was that he had been living not his life for 15 years. Every morning he woke up thinking, how much longer must I endure this? And the body answered, enough, I'll stop you. Even the ancients knew the secret. After 40, a person either dies alive or is reborn. There is no third way. It's a turning point, a point of no return. And here's what's crucial to understand. Nature gives you a superpower at 40, the wisdom of experience, plus still enough energy for transformation. It's the perfect time for change, but instead, we numb these signals with pills or distractions, or long ago stopped hearing them. After 40, we don't just memorize well, we start to see the structure. Not just the carrot, but the thread it hangs on, who holds the stick, and how the whole mechanism works. Before 40, we were just chasing carrots. After 40, we are given the chance to gain wisdom. Remember the monks with young brains? Most came to the monastery after 40 when life had driven them into a dead end, but instead of running from their pain, they chose to live through it, and their bodies responded with healing because they got the signal. The master chose life. Your body is the most accurate lie detector. If you live not your life, you get pain, illness, anxiety, but the moment you choose yourself, the restoration program activates. And now I'll show you how this works, literally on the physical level, because in your body there is a system that stores the whole history of how you live. For example, someone suffers from back pain for 10 years. Pills, injections, procedures, nothing helps. Then a massage therapist touches one point and the pain disappears in seconds. How is that possible? This image in the center is very important. Imagine fascia like your birthday suit. It's the organ of form, and in the two side images, fascia magnified 25 times. It looks like a web. These webs literally shape your form and individuality. And now I'll tell you something that will change your understanding of the body forever. In our body, there is a system most doctors don't even suspect. Fascia, connective tissue that for 100 years medicine thought was just packaging for muscles, like plastic wrap for a sandwich. Useless film. But recently, a revolution happened. Researchers at the University of Padua discovered fascia is not just packaging, it is an organ, and one of the most important